there is no justification for the Russian response. Our actions were motivated purely by the attack on the United Kingdom, the attack on a British citizen and his daughter.
The State Department fighting back against Russia's move to expel 60 U.S. diplomats and close the U.S. consulate in St. Petersburg. With my panel now to discuss, Herb London, London Center for Policy Research President, and Peter Brookes, Heritage National Security Affairs Fellow and former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense. Herb, let me start with you. We heard what Heather now had to say, but everyone knew Russia was going to do something, maybe not as many as 60. And now people are saying this could start to escalate, that this may just be the very beginning, the first domino into something that could become much more dangerous. Are you worried? I
am not terribly worried because we've gone through this before. There have been many illustrations where we've seen diplomats who were forced to leave on both sides. But what is interesting is, of course, the Russians using polonium with Litvinenko and then using Novichok with the most recent attack on a former KGB agent. What is interesting to me is that they had no regard at all for the sovereignty of the UK. They had no regard at all for the fact that these people are now living in a foreign land. What Putin is saying is the long reach of the Red Bear is going to reach out for you if, in fact, you challenge Putin.
Right.
And Putin has been challenged by these people. Right. It's a remarkable development.
You know, Peter, and of course, anyone around this particular ex-spy, ex-KGB agent and his daughter, they were also vulnerable to this attack. Sure. And again, you know, so it's not only a disregard, you know, the long reach of Russia and Putin, but a disregard for the citizens of the UK, their safety and their health. You know, it's worrisome, obviously. But if Herb is right, will they learn a lesson? I mean, will they stop doing these kind of things?
I expect, Charles, we'll see a pause. I mean, the Russian response, unfortunate as it was proportionate and to be expected. This happens all the time. I mean, they could have kicked out, they kicked out 150 diplomats from 27 countries, which kicked out Russian diplomats, but it could have gone a lot further. They could have kicked out the American ambassador. They could have closed the American embassy. It could have gotten worse. We could see some things like hostilities against American ships and aircraft operating in the Baltic and the Black Sea and things along this lines. But I mean, this was expected. Unfortunately, it puts Russia on the same level as North Korea, when Kim Jong-un had his half-brother taken out in Malaysia a while back with a nerve agent, VX. And this one, Novichok, is considered to be even more deadly and perhaps the world's most deadly nerve agent available.
You know, speaking of North Korea, apparently North Korea and South Korea, the leaders have now set a meeting for April 27th. It's going to be the first time since 2007. And I guess the finalized agenda not really set yet, but everyone's thinking that this is a huge step forward, and particularly, Herb, in front of the potential meeting between President Trump and Kim Jong-un. What's the significance of this?
What I think is the establishment of an agenda. You put your finger on it. I don't think that the president should get on Air Force One unless there are some understandings and guarantees before he leaves. He should be in a position where he knows that denuclearization on the Korean Peninsula is going to occur, that there'll be real verification measures of a kind that hasn't been in place by any of the previous presidents. This, it seems to me, is a great opportunity for the United States. But it's a high wire act. If the president fails, he falls very far from that wire. Right. And the reason why is because the prestige of the United States is on the line.
Real quick, Peter, I got less than 30 seconds, though. Yep. How do we determine failure with a high-risk meeting like this?
I think we keep our expectations quite modest. Now, we're going to learn a lot from this meeting between North and South next month, and it'll be a building block for the president if he decides to go forward with a summit with Kim. So we'll learn a lot from that, and like I said, keep your expectations modest.